Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Vault Jersey. Joe Archino back here, and 73 wins has never been more possible than it is now for the Golden State Warriors. And we basically look at the last 7 games that they will play, and they need to win 5 of them, and they can only lose 2 for the record. And I think it's so adamant that it's going to happen now, and I think it all started after that loss to the Spurs. 6-game winning streak now since that has happened. At the front end of it, a win against Minnesota on the road, a 4-game homestand where they win all 4, and then in overtime they gut it out and they win against the Jazz. But now they reload for another 4 games at home at the Oracle Arena where they just don't lose, and it doesn't happen there. San Antonio, again, they've been great at home as well, but Oracle Arena, I think it's even more of a difficult place for an opposing team to have to play because Golden State's fans just own it. They own the court there. It's such a hard place to play, but the teams they will play, certainly some of them make it quite difficult. Boston, very good team. They will be playing them tonight. Portland after that. Minnesota, and then San Antonio. Now, I think, of course, the 2 games left against San Antonio, 1 home and 1 away, certainly make people interested, but you have to think of it in this way, is if this means absolutely nothing for Greg Popovich, he most certainly is not going to put a full lineup out there. He's going to make sure his top players are rested because we know Pop all he cares about is looking ahead to the end game, and for him that means resting up his players. And while for Steve Kerr, some guys in his position would probably also do the same thing, he wants that record. The Warriors team wants that record, and I think it's going to happen. And we've been saying it all along as we kept getting closer and closer to this point, and now that it's more possible than ever, I think it's going to happen. And it's good for basketball that this will happen because Golden State is one of the most likable teams I've ever seen in my lifetime. You have some teams who come on and are controversial because they're hot-headed, or maybe there's a star on there who's unselfish and who really just doesn't sit well with people. I think Carolina is kind of like that. A lot of people absolutely love them, but then at the same time, they also have a lot of people who dislike them because of Cam Newton's flashy style. Same thing with the Seattle Seahawks. People really like parts of the team like Russell Wilson, but then when you guys like Richard Sherman on there who are very flashy, very loud, very vocal, it turned a lot of people off. But Golden State is as quiet can be, but on the court, that's where they do their talking, and they don't do it in a verbal sense. They let their play do the talking. The unselfishness of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, all these great star-studded players, they have the most deep roster in the NBA, and there's so many guys willing to make sacrifices on that team, as we saw with Andre Iguodala last season, and that has carried over again to this season. And when it comes down to it, the Bulls team who won it, I think now that conversation will happen. Well, they won 72, Golden State won 73. Does that make this Golden State team better than that Chicago Bulls team? And I think you'd kind of have to say yes. And it just is Stephen Curry better than Michael Jordan? Of course not. I don't think anyone would ever argue that. But I think is this Warriors team better than that Chicago Bulls team? And it's a different era. It's a different age of the NBA, much more physical when that Bulls team won. But talent is talent, and different eras mean you need to make the adjustments. And I don't know if that Chicago Bulls team could muster up the offensive firepower that this Golden State Warriors team can. Now, that Bulls team is absolutely better defensively, and that's not even arguable for a second. But the NBA has changed. The three-point element is so different now. Now, the three-point ball was still very important to the NBA at that point, but nowhere near as it does today. You have guys on Golden State who almost every player on that team has that element, except for, of course, the players like their center, Andrew Bogut. But Draymond Green, power forward, he can hit a three. There are so many guys on that team, and that's the way the NBA is today. Every player needs to have versatility. Karl Anthony Towns is the new breed version of the big man in the NBA. And LaMarcus Aldridge, same thing. Big men need to have versatility components to their game, and that just same versatility did not exist when the Bulls won. But I think it's good for basketball. I think them getting the record, 73 wins, the way this season has started, it just has felt like we got to live through that historic run. Now, obviously, I was around. I was born in '94, so I was around for that Bulls record. But, of course, so young, no one ever really remembers it. So, in our lifetime, we were able to experience this. We were able to see the season play out from start to finish, see the Golden State Warriors and their incredible start to the season, going 24-0. There has really been not too many downs, and their losses have all been spaced out so well that it's just been that one game here and there. And for the most part, I've never really refuted or not believed for a second that Golden State would win the title this season. I just think the writing is on the walls as it was last year. When you build a roster like they do and you're able to put unselfishness with it, and you have a coach like Steve Kerr that makes it all work, that's a formula no one else has. Now, will the path be easy? Of course it won't be easy. Oklahoma City has shown great promise playing them this season. San Antonio has shown a great competitive edge against them this season. But it takes 7 to beat the Golden State Warriors. And in a 7-game series, I'm sorry, I just cannot do it. They're going to have the record 73. 4-game homestand starts tonight against Boston. And I think having that to kind of carry them to the rest of their season is just so deadly. I mean, if that Utah game was close. They really got lucky and found a way to win that game. But that's been what it's been for them all season. Stephen Curry talked about it when they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. I remember when he hit that almost half-court shot against the Thunder. Everybody went nuts. People on Twitter lighting up, Stephen Curry's not human. He just said championship teams, this is in our DNA. This is what we do. When it matters most, we're able to get the job done. It's not always the best when we start, but when we finish, we get our best effort. And I think that's all you can ask sometimes. They largely do start well, but even when they don't, they're able to muster up that championship quality, and it's why they're the best team in basketball, and it's why they will have 73 wins. And again, I think it's good for basketball. It's good for the history of the game to really, because no one ever thought that Bulls 72-10 record would be broken. Even growing up in high school, I had the NBA encyclopedia glued to my hands, and if you had told me that there was another team that would have broken that record, I would have really, really had a hard time buying it. But this is just a couple years since that time has happened, and it's reality. It's happened. The Golden State Warriors are going to do it, and I think it just speaks to people like to kind of go down on the NBA sometimes. There's a lot of teams that need to get their act together. There's no doubt about it. But the overall quality, I think, of some of these teams, the LeBron Cleveland, the San Antonios, the Golden States, goes to show you that it's a strong, strong league. And just the mere fact that Golden State's now going to break a record that is one of the most impressive in all of professional sports, it really speaks volumes to the state of the league right now. But we will wait and we will see. But until then, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sportsful. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.